the Christian View, where we take today's hot topics and we weigh them against the Word of God, because God does have a view. And I am just so excited to introduce this guest co-host that we have today. She is a lady that is so brave, and she does stand her ground. Let's give a warm welcome to University Law Professor Dr. Carol Swain, PhD.
Thank you. Dr. Swain, we have all enjoyed reading your book, Be the People.
Be
It's
the
just
People.
great book, and just gives layer upon layer of revelation about the United States and our cultural demise. Just tell us a little bit about what this book means to you and what the message is, Be the People.
Well, I started writing this book during the summer of 2009 because I was so concerned about America, and I felt like the American people were being deceived, deceived into supporting programs and policies that were against their interests. And so the book was meant to be a wake-up call for we the people in the preamble of the Constitution, that's us, that we would stand up, take some responsibility for what's happening in our nation.
When did we stop standing? When did people stop standing, Carol? I mean, how many years ago? At what point did we become afraid to stand up and say what we think anymore?
Well, I mean, I could say during the era of political correctness that started in the 80s, but the country was lost before that.
Yeah. Right.
And, you know, if we want to look at the decline of America, we might go back to 1962 when prayer was taken out of school.
There you go. That's the first start right there, isn't it?
1963, Bible reading. Yeah. And then after that, and for many people in your audience, they're probably too young to know, and I probably can't say the word I like to say here, but the nation went to right after this happened.
It sure did.
So look at what happened in the mid-1960s with we had the riots, the race riots, we had the women's movement, women, you know, burning their bras, and we had the rise of the gay movement. All of this happened after prayer was taken out of school.
Well, and Carol, it seems like there's such a small minority. It just takes a few people with the task of fear and intimidation, and I know you've said that before, that fear and intimidation often is the driving force behind we just back down and we get quiet.
It's because that small, those are the ones that we see when we turn the television on. There might not be but a handful, but that's who we're going to see every time we turn the television on.
I know. I mean, the protest movement, people learned that if you yell loud enough, people will pay you to shut up. So they know that, and so that's what's happening.
Yeah.
And, you know, like a lot of people don't see themselves as people that can speak up. And part of my story is that I was shy most of my life. When my first book was published, I got invited to be on Good Morning America, and I turned it down because I was afraid. And after I had my Christian conversion experience, the Lord impressed on my mind that He had given me a message that was bigger than me, and if you're not focused on yourself about whether or not you're going to look stupid, if you're going to make a mistake, or people are going to laugh at you, you can go out and do anything. And so I think that once I was saved and the Lord removed that fear, that I only have to please an audience of one.
Amen. Woo, yes.
Carol, I've enjoyed reading your book and just listening to your journey. And one of the most amazing things, I think that your story is such an inspiration to many Americans, not just minorities, but all Americans. You know, I like the point. One of the ways that you kind of have described yourself in your biography is from GED to PhD.
That's right.
And when we talk about it, how can we actually help our younger a generation who are really not connected to the foundation of what America really is all about?
They're not even being taught anymore in school.
How do we get them back to that place?
First of all, I think we have to stop lying to them. And one of the things that we've told not just minority children, but women, all these groups, that you can't do something unless you see or have other role models that are doing the same thing. And if that were true, you'd never have a first. Right. And I think for minority youth, they're told over and over and over again that the society is so racist that you can't do this. If you come from a poor background, you can't do it. And that's not true. Those are lies. And I think that America is a land of tremendous opportunity, and we have to keep stating that again and again to young people. And you talked about, we have talked about dreams, you know, following your dreams. You talk about dreams. It's important, I think, for people to realize that a lot of times the dreams they have, those are sparks that God places there.
So,
and when I was a little child growing up in rural poverty, it didn't feel right to me.
Yes.
And so I had a dream of something better.
That's
and I
good.
think as a consequence, I have been able to live the American dream, and I think God is no respecter of persons.
No, he's not.
We can all live the American dream.
Right.
One of the things I love about your book, Dr. Swain, is you put action points at the end of each
Yes, you
chapter
do.
that are practical. They're things that we can do as just regular Americans, you know, and I love that. Can you just talk about the action points?
Well, I mean, that was part of the whole idea, and at one point I had a Be the People TV show, and it ended with a call to action. Is that I think a lot of times that you watch TV, let's say you watch Fox News, and you get all worked up about how bad it is in the
Oh,
world.
yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
And then the show ends,
Yeah.
and you feel terrible.
Yeah.
But I think that
So empty.
if a show would end with concrete action points
I
that
like
people
it.
could do, then
I like
you would
it.
encourage people. And so
Encouragement, inspiration.
I felt like with Be the People, it was written for the Christian population. At the time that I wrote the book, it was like 78% of Americans professed to be Christians. Now we know that that's a lie, because if 78%
We
of
know
Americans
that's not an
were
accurate
really
number.
Christians, we
Stay
wouldn't
with
have the
us.
same
We're
country.
coming right back with Dr. Carol Swain. Stay with us.